All right, let's dive into something wild. What if you could literally upgrade your life's timeline? Today, we're exploring a pretty mind-bending theory that pulls together quantum physics, the deep intelligence of nature, and the very source code of your consciousness.
So let me ask you this. Does your life ever feel like it's on repeat? You wake up, you go through the same motions, and it just feels like a slightly different version of the day before. So many of us feel this way, kind of trapped in a pattern we can't seem to shake.
I want you to imagine your life not as a straight road, but as this huge, sprawling river with countless forks and branching paths. Now, if all those other possibilities actually exist, why is it that most of us find ourselves floating down the exact same narrow channel day in and day out?
To answer that, we first have to really understand the invisible prison we're all living in, those mental and emotional loops that keep us firmly on that one familiar path.
This quote from Owen Cook just hits the nail on the head. So much of our precious mental energy, our bandwidth, gets wasted. It's eaten up by worrying about what people think, by feeling like we're not enough, by these old, broken belief systems. It's like your computer running a dozen pop-up ads in the background. It just slows the whole system down.
See, our brains run on these emotional algorithms. Every single day, we fire up the same neural circuits, we trigger the same emotional responses, we worry the same anxieties, they become our default settings. And this creates a powerful feedback loop that just reinforces our current reality, which makes it incredibly hard to even imagine, let alone create, a different one.
But what if that programming isn't permanent? What if you could actually get access to the source code and, well, rewrite it?
Okay, so one tool people have used for this is something called Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP. It sounds complicated, but you can really just think of it as a kind of user manual for the human brain. The whole idea is that our thoughts and behaviors are like software, and language is the code we can use to update it.
Here's how it works. NLP uses language to forge new connections in the brain. For instance, you take a simple, real sensation, like the feeling of your feet on the ground, and you link it to a state you want to feel, like relaxation. By saying it, you're literally building a new mental shortcut. You're programming a new response.
And this is the whole point, right? We are not stuck with our factory settings. Our internal operating system isn't set in stone. It's changeable. And real change isn't just about willpower. It's about finding a way to get in there and tweak the underlying code that runs our whole show.
So, if we can use language to manually rewrite our code, what if there was a more profound, more powerful way to access the whole system? What if nature itself held a key to that code, one that's been hiding in plain sight, right under our feet this whole time?
The mycologist Paul Stamets has really opened our eyes to this vast, intelligent network of mycelium that's under the forest floor. And the scale, it is just staggering. We're talking over 8 miles of these tiny fungal threads packed into a space smaller than a sugar cube. It's almost unbelievable. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The actual structure of this network, what Stamets calls Earth's natural internet, is shockingly similar to the neural networks inside our own brains. It's like nature has already given us the blueprint for an intelligent, decentralized system. The question is, what can we learn from it? And right here, we find the key: psilocybin. This compound does something truly remarkable. It temporarily quiets down the part of your brain that's responsible for your sense of self, your ego. And at the same time, it actually encourages the growth of new brain cells. It's a hard reset, which is exactly why it's showing so much promise for helping people break out of rigid thought patterns like those you see in PTSD.
This neurological reset, this temporary dissolving of the self, is precisely what opens the door to a radical, almost unbelievable concept from the world of quantum physics.
Okay, now we're going to take a little trip into the strange world of quantum mechanics. At this super small level, reality isn't solid. It's just a field of probabilities. And according to a lot of interpretations, it's the simple act of observation that solidifies one of those probabilities into the world we experience. And what's the ultimate observer? Your consciousness.
So before you look, the future isn't one set thing. It's like this shimmering cloud of infinite possibilities. Your attention, your observation, is what reaches into that cloud and pulls out the one single experience you have. You are literally collapsing reality into existence, moment by moment.
And this is the core of the whole theory. If your reality is determined by what you observe, then the only way to fundamentally change your life is to change the observer. You have to change yourself.
And this is the timeline upgrade. See how it all connects? Psilocybin dissolves that old, rigid self.
the old observer stuck in the same narrow channel. All of a sudden, you're able to perceive possibilities that were completely invisible to you before. And by simply becoming aware of those new paths, by observing them, you start to pull them into reality, effectively shifting your entire life onto a new, more expansive timeline.
Okay, so quantum timelines, dissolving the ego. This is all pretty heady stuff. How does any of this actually translate into real-world change? Let's look at what it means to live this stuff out.
You know, this isn't just an abstract theory. This is a personal story from a guy named Brad Miller. Listen to what he says. He went from being unproductive to working, starting a company, walking every day. He even washed his car for the first time in 10 years. That's what a timeline shift looks like on the ground. It's these tangible, everyday actions.
What we're talking about here is a radical shift, from a reality that feels limited and trapped to one of expanding, unfolding potential. It turns out those prison walls we mentioned earlier were never solid. They were just the boundaries of our own perception.
So the ultimate goal isn't just about having one big mind-altering experience. It's about integrating the lesson. It's about embodying the intelligence of the mycelial network itself. I mean, think about it. Mycelium doesn't get stuck. It's adaptive. It's resilient. It constantly reroutes around obstacles and grows toward resources. The invitation is to become the network in our own lives.
So, this leaves us with one final, very powerful question. If your future isn't some fixed destination, but a field of infinite potential, and if you're the one holding the power of observation, then the only thing left to ask is, which reality, which timeline, will you choose to call into being?